Have you ever wondered what it would be like to step out of the world we see every day and into a place that feels like a dream? A place where time seems to slow down, where walls are covered in vines, and where broken stones whisper stories from the past. Now, imagine someone as famous as Johnny Depp choosing to spend his private moments in such a world. Not the Johnny Depp we see walking across red carpets, flashing a quick smile for cameras, or stepping onto a movie set surrounded by lights and noise, but the Johnny Depp who finds comfort away from it all. The Johnny Depp who hides among ruins and gardens, who lives in silence instead of applause. That's the side of him that very few people get to see, and today, that's the world we're going to explore together. When you think of celebrities, the image that probably comes to mind is one of glitter, expensive mansions, and all the luxuries money can buy. And sure, a lot of them live that way. But Depp has always been different. While many chase perfection and polish, he often drifts toward the imperfect, the mysterious, and the broken. Instead of marble floors and shiny new walls, he's drawn to chipped stones, fading colors, and ruins where nature has slowly taken over. Isn't that kind of fascinating? Because most of us are taught to value things that are new, flawless, and untouched. But here's Johnny, a man who could buy anything he wants, choosing to surround himself with places that carry scars, stories, and history. It makes you wonder, what does he see that others don't? Maybe it's because he knows what it feels like to be constantly watched, constantly judged. When you've spent decades in the spotlight, every word you say and every move you make gets picked apart. And maybe that's exactly why he runs to these places where no one's watching, where the only sound is the wind weaving through broken windows and leaves brushing against stone. Can you picture it? Johnny walking barefoot along a cracked stone path, vines curling up the walls, sunlight slipping through gaps in the roof, and everything around him breathing with life and silence at the same time. Doesn't that sound like an escape we all secretly crave sometimes? You see, for Johnny, it's not just about beauty. It's about finding peace where others see nothing but ruins. He chooses these imperfect spaces because they remind him that life itself is imperfect, and that's okay. It's almost like he finds a reflection of himself in these places. Just like the walls that carry marks from centuries past, he carries his own scars and stories. And instead of hiding them, he embraces them. Isn't that such a powerful way of looking at life? We often try so hard to cover up our cracks, to appear perfect, to polish every detail. But maybe, like Johnny, we could learn to see those cracks as part of our story, something that makes us real. And inside these hidden corners of his world, it's not about gold chandeliers or endless rows of designer furniture. It's about memories. He surrounds himself with little treasures, things that hold meaning rather than just value. Books stacked in uneven piles, old paintings leaning against walls, instruments left waiting for the next song, and objects that might look ordinary to others but hold a story for him. Can you imagine walking into such a place? At first glance, it might look messy, maybe even chaotic, but then you realize every piece has a soul. It's like stepping into a living diary where every corner whispers something about the man who lives there. And isn't that the kind of home many of us dream about? Not perfect, not shiny, but filled with pieces of our own story. Nature plays a huge role in this world too. One of the most beautiful things about ruins is how plants take over, how life grows in the cracks and wraps itself around stone. The walls might be broken, but flowers still bloom through the gaps, leaves stretch toward the light, and the whole place becomes alive in its own way. For Johnny, living among that must be a daily reminder that even when things fall apart, life keeps moving forward. Doesn't that thought hit home? Haven't we all gone through times when things felt broken, and yet, somehow, we found a way to keep going? That's what makes these ruins so magical. They aren't dead places. They're alive with resilience. And maybe that's exactly why Johnny chooses them, because they mirror the strength of surviving through storms and still finding beauty afterward. Now, here's something interesting that not many people realize. Surrounding yourself with art, with history, with nature, it can change the way you feel. Studies often say that people who bring these elements into their lives feel calmer, more creative, and more grounded. Think about it. How do you feel when you step outside and take a deep breath of fresh air? Or when you sit quietly with a book that feels like it was written just for you? Or when you walk into an old building and you can almost feel the weight of all the stories it has carried through time? That's the energy Johnny has chosen for his private world. And it makes sense why. For someone constantly chased by noise, choosing silence, history, and nature isn't just preference, it's survival. And while not all of us can run off to a centuries-old ruin, there are lessons here that we can bring into our own lives. Imagine creating a little corner in your home where you let nature creep in. Maybe it's a vine trailing across your window, or even just a plant sitting on your desk. That single touch of green changes the atmosphere. Or maybe you fill a shelf with books that feel alive with meaning, or hang a piece of art that speaks to you, even if it's old, even if it's chipped. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to matter to you. That's the secret Johnny seems to understand. Peace doesn't come from perfect spaces. It comes from spaces filled with soul. And here's something else. A lot of people think minimalism is the only way to find calm. The idea of keeping everything simple, clean, and almost empty. And while that works for some, Johnny shows us another way. He proves that surrounding yourself with objects, even broken ones, can still create peace, as long as those objects are meaningful. It's not about how much you own, but what those things mean to you. Isn't that freeing? Instead of throwing things out just because they don't look perfect, maybe we should ask ourselves, does this piece tell a story? Does it hold a memory? If yes, then maybe it deserves a place. And let's not forget about nature again. Sometimes we underestimate just how much of a difference a single touch of green can make. Even in the busiest, loudest spaces, one plant can shift the mood. It softens the room, it makes the air feel lighter, and it gives us a sense of life. Now imagine what it feels like to be surrounded by entire ruins taken over by greenery. That kind of environment doesn't just decorate a space, it heals the spirit. No wonder Johnny finds comfort there. Now I want you to think about this. If you had the chance to step into a world like Johnny's, would you do it? Imagine leaving behind the sound of cars, the buzz of your phone, the endless lists of things to do, and stepping into a place where all you hear is the wind and the soft rustle of leaves. Would you trade the convenience of modern life for the magic of silence, vines, and stone walls with stories to tell? Or do you think you'd miss the city too much? That's the kind of question that lingers after hearing about Johnny's world, because deep down, many of us crave an escape like that, even if we don't admit it. And the truth is, it doesn't take ruins or ancient walls to create a piece of that magic. We can all build little worlds of our own, spaces filled with things that bring us calm, joy, and meaning. Spaces that remind us that imperfection is beautiful, that cracks tell stories, and that life always finds a way. Johnny's world is just one version of it, a reflection of who he is and what he's lived through. But it's also an invitation for us to think about what kind of world we want to create for ourselves. So now, I'll turn it over to you. If you could choose, would you prefer to live in a hidden world like Johnny's, wrapped in silence, vines, and ruins, or would you stay in the noise and lights of the city? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if this little journey into Johnny Depp's private world has fascinated you, there's more waiting. You'll want to stick around, because in the next story, we're diving even deeper into the hidden sides of Hollywood icons you never hear about, the private worlds that reveal who they really are when the cameras stop rolling. Before you head out, if you enjoyed this escape today, why not give this a like? It really helps keep more of these stories coming your way. And if you want to join me again on the next journey, hit subscribe and turn on the bell, so you don't miss what's ahead. After all, who doesn't need a little more mystery and magic in their day?